Hi, Rosy friends, it's Julie. So, here's the thing about the last year when I disappeared from making videos. Since my Day in the Rosy Life video last year was so much fun to make and everybody seemed to respond really well to it, I decided to do something similar this time while I explain what exactly happened to me over the last year. So that was my new fish. Well, I mean, he's new to you. He's not new to me. And he's me drinking coffee first thing in the morning. But I thought I would just go through the day like this. That's where I write my books. That's my office. Please subscribe if you haven't already and like this video if you do. Yeah, so I thought this would be a good chance to have some sort of fun or calming or even moderately interesting visuals while I talk about what happened to me in the last year and why I stopped making videos all that time. This is me taking a little course about how to make videos on Canva because I couldn't find my intro and outro videos for my channel. If you notice, they are different on this video and the last one than they have been in all my videos since probably 2015 or 2016. So, yep, I'm getting ready to go out. I'm going to go back to the farm. You'll notice a lot of stuff is quite similar to my last video. So I'm not going to talk, I'll talk on and off and on about what I'm doing in the video, but mostly I'm trying to use this time to have interesting things to look at instead of just a talking head video while I go on about where I went. So while we drive to the farm to pick up all the food that we'll be delivering to friends and neighbors, I thought that, oh wait, before I go on though, I just want to point out we're going by a driving range and there is the coolest thing right there. Isn't that cool? He's an alien on top of the car. That's the thing that goes and picks up all the golf balls. Okay, sorry, I don't know. That amuses me every single week, so I thought I would share that with you. I hope that amused you too. But yeah, so while we're driving along and while we're headed to Thorganic Farms, their market store, I thought I would tell you about what happened. So shortly after my last video, it was clear in the last video that I was already struggling. I have anxiety disorders and things like that. I'm not going to go into too much right now, but I was already struggling quite a bit and I was building up to making videos again, and I had a lot of ideas for videos that I wanted to do. And I get a lot of joy out of making these videos. However, the universe did not seem to want to let me do any of them anymore. And the reason that I felt that way was that at the start, even as I was just rebuilding and starting to feel super enthusiastic about it, and your comments were just so uplifting and motivating, that's when my shoulder, my right shoulder, and I'm right-handed, started to feel a little bit sore. And then a little bit more sore. And I was thinking, okay, I've been working at my computer a lot. I've been leaning on my arm. I should probably take it easy on that and do some gentle exercises and things just to make it feel better. I've probably got a little tendinitis or something like that. And that didn't really help. And it got worse and it got worse. And then suddenly I woke up and it was excruciating. It was the most pain I've ever felt in my life. It was so much pain I don't actually remember it all that well, except that I know that I was thinking this has got to be the most pain I've ever been in my entire life. And I mean, I've never had children, so that's a whole other category. But for me, I have never experienced pain like that before. I took the first sick day I've taken in probably 20 years or something like that off of work because I couldn't even sit at my desk. My shoulder was so painful and I couldn't get a doctor's appointment because of everything that was going on and all the lockdowns and all that stuff. And so I finally, instead of having to go to emergency, I did get a hold of a doctor at a walk-in clinic. I got a hold of them on the phone and they said that it sounded to them like I had frozen shoulder and I was in the freezing stage. And that freezing stage meant that I was going to gradually lose mobility. In my opinion, it was pretty fast mobility loss because even moving a millimeter was excruciating. It was so painful. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. Rosy friends, never get frozen shoulder. And we're just approaching Thorganic Farms right here. And we're going to drive around the farm because this is what you do on Saturdays. In case there's a lineup, then there's somewhere to go. The line always moves unbelievably fast. So it's not a real lineup. It's just having somewhere for the cars to go while all the cars are loaded up. Anywho, so on to my story about frozen shoulder. Right, so my shoulder continued freezing for about 2 weeks, and that was horrible. It was awful. I was able to work, but I had to take painkillers the whole time. I took over-the-counter ones. I was prescribed something, but they just scare me. And that's not any judgment to anybody who has to take them, but I've heard so many horror stories. I didn't want any part of that as long as I could stand it. So, yep, I spent basically 2 solid weeks counting down the hours and then minutes until the next time that I could take my ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Well, the prescription stayed in the drawer because I was just too scared of it. I did fill the prescription, but anyway, no, that's a whole other story. So, and that's Bear. I think he's a Great Pyrenees, the dog. Daisy is another dog that's there, but she's not in the shot right now. She's under the truck that he's barking at. But yeah, so, moving on. So, order complete, driving away. Thank you. Farmers, growers, producers, you guys have been my community. You have been my saviors over the last year. So anywho, so back to the frozen shoulder, right? So, yep. So for 2 weeks, it was freezing, and that was extremely, extremely painful. And then after that point, it was frozen, and that involved far less pain. That didn't require any medication or anything like that. But I could not move. It's not kidding when it says frozen shoulder. I could not move my arm. It was just. I could move it in that if I put my forearm on a counter and then crouch down, my arm would lift. I just could not lift my arm. I had no power over my shoulder. It would not respond to my brain. So, yep. So I spent a month with it fully frozen, unable to move my right arm. And being right-handed, that made everything very, very challenging. Learned to brush my teeth with my left hand, which was shockingly difficult. Once I was finally able to move my arm and things like that, things became less painful to do left-handed because it meant that I wasn't accidentally knocking my right arm trying to, for example, brush my hair or shower or anything like that. Oh, this was seriously. Oh, and I'm dropping things off to my best friend and co-author's house. And then I did spend a little bit of time with the dog you're about to see right there because, yep, there's a little evidence on my knees. It's just a little proof that I absolutely love that dog and got to spend some quality time scratching him. But I think I don't know which one of us enjoyed that more, but that was great. I just got a little furry in the process. So, yep. So, and here's me and 4 households split a quarter pig, which I've never done before, from a really, really wonderful local farmer. And so we split that, and that was a lot of fun. There's just a lot more there than I was expecting. Oh, and so here's me receiving one of my books that I was asked to autograph, and I was so happy to do that. That is such a flattering thing to have happen. So and because I was just at my co-author's house, she signed it while I was there. And this is me discovering that it is a lot harder to turn pages with one hand while I'm holding a camera than I thought. But I do eventually get it, and I can autograph it. But yeah, a little bit less shameless self-promotion for the rest of this video. Right, so finally, after a month, got my shoulder moving again, which was such a relief. And it's about 10 months after it first started going now, and I nearly have my full range of motion back. No pain, but I did lose a little bit of range of motion. Nothing that holds me back in the day, but I'm working on it, and I know I'll get back to normal again. But yeah, so, and then after I recovered from my shoulder, that's when I really started to struggle with my mental wellness. And I decided that it would be a good idea to really just focus on the things that I love the most. So obviously friends and family, as well as my day job, which I absolutely adore. You can't see that there are bananas in that bag, but I was trying to film them. Anyway, I love writing as my day job. And then, oh, and that's a smoke bone that I got from my sister's dog. Anywho, yeah, so, and I love writing my book series, the Perspective series. That is just so much. That is just every bit of passion in my life. So, yep, so I decided to focus on those things and step back from videos, step back from social media, really just focus on getting myself well again. I was in a 12-week mental health support program. And that helped a little bit, but because it was time constrained, it was a little bit weird. I really miss my therapist a lot. She was great, but I ran out of time, so I can't stay in that anymore. But again, I'm not going to get into the provincial healthcare system on this video. But yep, this is me discovering how much you really get when you get into a quarter pig order, even when you are only a quarter of that. It's a lot. So my freezers were full, and it really cracked me up. I'm not really a huge meat eater anyway. I think it's clear that I won't be making another order like that for a very long time. Yep, that's me discovering how much I've really got. But yeah, so those were my main obstacles. Oh, gotta, tally up everybody's quarter. But yeah, so that's really what happened over the last year. That's why I took the break that I did, as much as I absolutely love making the videos, and I'm glad to be back, and I hope to make them as regularly as possible. I'm hoping at least one a month, if not weekly, but I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself getting back into it. But yeah, I would love to get back to weekly if that's possible. So I'm really just trying to motivate myself back in again, get myself back into living and feeling good again. And I know that by making these videos just a little bit more and more, I will just start feeling motivated. Like as soon as I finish one, I think, okay, what am I going to do next? What am I going to record? So, and because I do have new editing software, that makes me a lot happier than I was before too. So yeah, so I guess we can just look at the rest of what I did for the day. Oh, and my best friend stopped by and said, bring a container and a paper towel downstairs. I've got something for you. And she surprised me with a donut. It's a maple glazed from a really special place. There is a smudge in the top, but that was totally my fault when I grabbed the donut. And I love donuts, so that was ever so kind of her. And I was really grateful, and it was awesome. And then I spent part of the day watching roofers put in a roof next door, because that is fascinating to me. And they were really good. Like, they put in so much care. And then I went and I got my second shot finally after 12 weeks, and that was exciting. This is just me waiting out the 15 minutes after to make sure that I was okay, which I absolutely was. And see, I've even got donuts on my mask. But yep, and that was when I recorded my video for last week, which you saw if you watched my video for last week, and entering in all the things on YouTube that need to be entered. And then I did another video for an event that's happening later this month for my book series. The roofers finally finished. And then a dragonfly visited my garden, and I got all obsessed about it and took 100 bajillion pictures of it. So here are a couple of them here. And the beans that I harvested, which isn't bad considering my garden is on a balcony. And then I'm making the mustard pickles again this year. And then a very good friend of mine made mustard beans with my mustard pickles recipe last year. So I copied her this year and made mustard beans as well. And just boiling up the jars, making my apartment super hot, but it did make for some really great batches of mustard pickles. This day actually happened the next day, but I was so lucky to get tickets to the virtual party that I wanted to share this too, because I was really happy about that. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, I hope you will. And other than that, I will see you next time.